Welcome back to our holiday spectacular episode of Bitches in Business.
If you are listening to this, then you are just missing out on the fun. But if you are watching this, you will notice that we are in Christmas sweaters.
Griswold.
Allie brought me a lovely cat-themed Christmas sweater. Thank you very much,
You're
Allie.
welcome.
I was actually going to go to a thrift store and try to find a Christmas sweater, which I still might do because I don't have one.
Well,
I used to.
you can have that one if you want it.
Thank you. That is so nice of you. I really appreciate that. All right, what are we drinking today?
Okay, you guys, we have this amazing cocktail. It is gorgeous. I took photos. We will be posting
good.
them. They are gorgeous.
It's very full. I will say that.
What we have here is a Christmas Aperol Spritz.
Oh, I see. Okay, it kind of looked like a little bit of a Christmas sangria as well.
It kind of does look like a Christmas sangria. So I mean, it could be.
Either
so
or.
it is Aperol, about 2 ounces of Aperol per drink. It's only 11%, so who cares?
Put in a little bit more if you really want.
Yeah. It's about probably 4 or 5 ounces of Prosecco. We use La Marca, our favorite basic bitch Prosecco.
Delish.
We love. A splash of cranberry juice and topped with soda. And then we garnished with an orange wheel and some frozen cranberries and a sprig of rosemary.
It looks very, very delicious.
It does.
I'm gonna poke down the rosemary. I was trying to say raspberry. Rosemary down into it so I get a little bit of that herbal flavor in there.
Oh my God.
That is very, very delicious.
Very delicious.
Yeah, I mean, you can't even taste the alcohol in there, which is dangerous.
It's in there.
Lot of really refreshing, bright flavors. The cranberry is a really nice hit. You know how sometimes cranberry can just be a little bit too much?
Yeah.
That was just a very light touch in there. This is very good, Allie. Great job on the cocktail.
Thank you.
Yes, I love. Okay, I would like to start this episode off by mentioning that Allie has a new episode of Up Your Alley that I watched today, all about Central Nanaimo. And
Yes.
it was really, really great. You did a really great job.
Thank you.
I really liked it. Showcasing kind of Bowen Park and just Central Nanaimo. One thing I thought was really great that you mentioned was how, Central Nanaimo, of course it's central to everything, but there are a lot of amenities.
Yeah.
The hospital, Bowen Park, tennis courts, tons of shopping, grocery stores, liquor stores, everything.
You can do everything. I mean, I lived in Central Nanaimo. I moved to Brecken Hill not too long ago. And I honestly, I would just drive up and down Bowen. That was all I needed to do. I barely had to drive. It was great.
You really don't need to go into North or South Nanaimo when you live in Central. But yeah, my grandparents live on town site in Bowen there. And that's how they feel too. They never venture out into the North
You
End.
don't need to.
It's like a trip if they need to.
And you know what's funny? I've obviously been to Bowen Park several times, but I didn't really realize how much stuff they actually have there, and you could just spend days there just doing different activities.
I agree. I need to utilize Bowen Park a lot more, especially because we live so close to it.
Yeah.
Jeremy and I could easily walk there. The tennis courts are really great. They also have a frisbee golf. They have horseshoes way in the back. They've got horseshoes, a sand volleyball court, and then of course the whole duck pond,
the trails. The waterfall was intense because of all the rain we've been having.
Imagine.
It was really going.
And there's a fish ladder, so it's really neat to watch the fish when the fish are spawning as well.
I haven't seen that.
And then they also have an outdoor pool and a ton of activities at the whole rec center there.
And lawn bowling.
I
didn't even know there was lawn bowling
they
there.
have lawn bowling.
It's just crazy.
Yeah. So when I was a kid and I was in elementary school, I would go to after school daycare there. And so we utilized the park a lot.
Yeah.
We were always playing, capture the flag or California kickball, or we were out in the pool, or Jeremy thinks this is so weird whenever I talk about it, but we used to go leaf sledding. It's because they have such great hills there and they have so many trees. Oh no, the phone is warning me of low battery. So I'm just gonna close that little notification. So we used to go sledding there all the time on the leaves. So you ride in like a garbage bag and then like you slip down the leaves because they're like fairly slippery with the garbage bag. It was
never heard
so
of this.
fun. I know. And I've never done it any other time other than that, but it was great. So lots of activities at Bowen Park.
That's very interesting.
No, I thought it was a really great video. I thought you did a really good job.
Thank you. Go
Where
check
can
it
we
out.
watch the video?
It's on YouTube on our Bald Guy Real Estate Team YouTube page.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you just go onto there, just search for the Bald Guy Real Estate, and it'll come
It
up.
should come up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's a really great series that you're doing where you feature
Yeah.
the different neighborhoods.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Shout out if there's a specific neighborhood that you would like to see Allie do, because
Yeah.
I'm sure she's taking
I'm
requests.
going to do them all. So, I mean, if you have any
Eventually.
suggestions, then yeah.
Well, and even like good tips to know about a specific neighborhood that you might not know of because
Yeah.
you don't live there or
Exactly.
whatever.
There's a lot of these neighborhoods where you wouldn't know something about it unless you actually live there, which I don't.
Well, I always find that strange too because I've lived in Nanaimo almost 25 years and there's still some streets that I've never been down because, you know, you don't know anybody that lived down
Yeah,
there.
so why would you?
So why would you, right?
Yeah.
And so then it's always fun for me whenever I go to a new neighborhood that I've just never explored before. And so there would be neighborhoods that I just don't know anything about because
totally.
I've never been down there, right? So I like what you're doing because I think it just showcases a totally different side or a different perspective of a neighborhood that you might not think of. And that could be the reason why somebody chooses to live there.
Yeah.
Right? So
That's
love
the
it.
whole point.
Yes, I like this. Okay, I'm just going to plug in my phone because I meant to do that. So just fill this moment for 1 second.
Okay. I wanted to talk about what is our favorite holiday traditions because a couple of weeks ago we put it out to our Instagram page for our listeners to write in what we should talk about. And quite a few people actually wanted to know what are our favorite holiday traditions. So I thought we could kind of kick off this holiday spectacular episode by talking about what are our favorite holiday traditions.
I love that. I mean, I think we're both fairly family oriented, so that kind of comes along with
in a
it
way.
at Christmas. Well, spending Christmas with our families more than anything.
I spend the Christmas holiday season with my family, and I don't see them all the time. You know, we don't do dinner every Sunday or even every month or anything
Right.
like that. So, like, holidays are like really the only time that I like hang out with my family to an extent. So,
Yep. But you guys do like something specific on Christmas Eve, don't you?
No, not Christmas
Oh,
Eve.
okay.
Kurt's family does a Christmas Eve party every year.
I see.
So the first year we were dating, I didn't go because I just felt like it was like too soon.
That's fair.
We were only dating a few months, and I was like, yeah, I don't know.
I'm not into this.
I don't want to do that. So the last year I was really looking forward to it, but of course COVID was really bad and there was like all the crazy restrictions here, so that was not a thing.
Yeah.
So there was no Christmas Eve party, and this year there's going to be a small Christmas Eve party. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. I've never been.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Because that could become like a new tradition for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. But every year, we started this a few years ago. Like, my mom kind of gets lonely sometimes because my dad works away a lot of the time. So in like kind of the days leading up to Christmas, every year we get together and we make a gingerbread house.
Oh, that's really neat. I
Which
like
is
that.
really funny because my mom has always said, oh, I'm not artistic. And like, so she just didn't think that she could even decorate a gingerbread house.
Yep.
But she just drinks her wine and she has so much fun. And she's like, wow, I can really do this.
Well, I mean, because a gingerbread house is so forgiving. I mean, you can really
Yeah.
put whatever you want on it.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
be as creative or as non-creative as you wish.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to be doing that this weekend with my mom.
Oh, that's nice.
What else do we do? Every year, like, my parents would stay up so late on Christmas Eve wrapping everything. Like, they would just always leave it to the last minute.
Really?
So they would like literally stay up until like 3 a.m. wrapping presents.
Oh my gosh.
And so they would get so pissed when we would
When you
wake up
at
so
5?
we would literally wake up at 5, sometimes
right,
even
you've
earlier.
mentioned that before.
And they would just be so mad. So we weren't allowed to wake them up until 7, and even then they'd be exhausted. They only had a couple hours of sleep.
Totally.
So we just started like very early on, like just opening our stockings.
Yes.
And so after a few years, like my parents were pissed. They're like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys would do that. And then after a while, they're like, you know what? No, go for it. Open the stockings because it keeps you out of our hair.
Exactly.
For a while.
And then we can like sleep a little bit longer or make breakfast. And that's a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty common for a lot of kids.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And then, we always do a turkey. So we'll go over Christmas morning. We'll do presents and whatnot, make a few snacks. I always like do a ton of baking. Like that's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
I do a ton of Christmas baking. So I've already started for this year.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Oh, that's right. You were supposed to bring me a cookie.
I did.
Oh, great.
Don't worry.
Perfect.
I
get my
brought
damn
two. I brought
cookie.
one for Jeremy. Or two for you if you don't tell him.
I'm probably going to eat both of those.
So yeah, and then we do Christmas dinner and everyone drinks a lot of wine. And it's just fun and we laugh. Usually somebody cries, and I always say every year it's not Christmas unless someone cries.
I think that's true for a lot of families.
Me, sometimes it's one of my sisters, sometimes it's my mom.
Are your sisters coming home? Like, is Becky coming home?
No, she's going to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
I know. But Molly's coming from Prince Rupert. I haven't
nice.
seen her in I think like 3 years.
Oh, wow. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
That'll be good for your mom, too.
Yeah. And then my other sister lives in town, so she'll be coming, obviously.
Yeah.
And
So the twins will be home.
Yeah, my dad will be home for Christmas. So
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
So it's just a big family Morrison Christmas.
yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. How about you?
Well, ever since I was probably about 2 or 3, my grandparents have taken me to Butchart Gardens,
Yes.
which is my favorite place in the entire
Oh,
world.
I love it.
You know, of course, just because it's so beautiful, but also because I love Christmas in general, and I like Butcharts throughout the year, but Christmas is spectacular. But also it just brings me a lot of nostalgia from when I was a kid. And so I've been going for so long that if you've never been to Butchart Gardens, they do like a 12 days of Christmas.
Yes.
So as you walk through, they've got like the partridge in the pear tree and the 2 turtle doves and the whole thing. Well, I've been going for so long that have been going since before they did that.
Right.
So as I grew up, we got to see each year they'd add a new number. And so it was always really exciting to walk through and go, oh, you know, this year it's 6 geese a laying. Ooh, where's it
So
going to
they
be?
didn't
What
roll
are they
it out
going to
all at
do?
once?
No, they did
Oh.
one every year.
So it went on for 12 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was really neat. You know, as a kid, you get to kind of walk through and go, oh, what is it going to look like? Where is it going to be? What are they going to do? Right. So that for me is also just a big nostalgia thing that it reminds me of being a kid and going with my grandparents. So I've already been to Butcharts once, and I'm going again in next week. I'm going.
Oh, I want to go.
Have you been at Christmas time?
Yeah, I went with you.
Oh, right. Oh my gosh, that was really
Yes,
fun. We
I
went
went
with
with you a
Bailey's.
few
That was
years ago.
hilarious. That's right.
Yes.
I love Butcharts. So like it all blends together
Yeah.
for me. But my mom went for the first time. She'd never been before. So
Oh my
I
God.
took her this past weekend. She really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's
But of
so
course my mom
nice.
like doesn't like to be around children, doesn't like to be around people. So of course the whole time she's just like, what's with all these damn kids? And people are just walking so slow, and I'm like, Mom, just enjoy it, okay? Like, just calm down. So that's a big tradition that I do every single year. What we've been doing the past kind of few years is on Christmas Eve, we'll go to my mom's and we'll just do like a bunch of appies and play games. Whoever wants to drop by, feel free. And then we've been spending the night at her house and waking up in the morning, because whenever I grew up, we were always at my grandma's house on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Always. And like my parents were never together. So we were always at my dad's family, which is weird because like my dad wasn't there, but my mom was. But my mom's so close with them. And like, you know, they're the closest kind of grandparents that I have growing up. So once they kind of moved into a smaller apartment and it just didn't really make sense to do Christmas Eve there anymore, my mom kind of started taking over that tradition, and my grandparents now come to my mom's, which is great. Like I want to stay up as late as possible on Christmas Eve and play cards or play games and drink and tell stories and, you know, eat good food and just like indulge.
Yeah.
So that's what we always did, and that's what we're going to do this year. But Jeremy's parents are joining us, so they kind of get to be part of that tradition now.
That's
too.
fun.
Mm-hmm. And then, you know, we usually wake up, and we were never allowed to open presents until breakfast was had. So I was
God.
always allowed to open my stocking because that was the only thing that I was allowed to get into, and then everything else had to wait until after, which was always just torture. but like other than that, I mean, I just like to be around my family and my friends, you know, like I don't care where I am as long as I'm not working. I just like to eat a whole bunch of good food, indulge into whatever, play games, be around my family. Like that's all I really care about.
That's so nice. I love it.
So that's kind of what the plan is. So, but yeah, so I'm going to go to Boot Charts again next week, which should be fun. And I'll get to show my in-laws because they've never been before. So
Janice
that'll be a good time. I think Janice is going to really enjoy it too. I'm always so disappointed when I take new people that have never been before and they're just like, meh. And I'm like, this place is wonderful. Okay. It's heaven on earth. How do you not like this? Like, I'm always so excited. I'm like, oh, do you know what's coming up next?
I know.
It's going to be the 5 golden rings. And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, it's amazing.
You were like that.
Yeah, I remember taking like an ex-boyfriend at one point. He was like, yeah, this is cool. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, give me something.
I think that the year that I went, I definitely remember that I really, really liked it. But I think I was feeling a little grinchy that year because I was like,
that happens.
I had a breakup recently and I was just like,
that happens.
He was still living with me at the time. And so I was like, I'm not doing the Christmas this year because I was like, I'm not putting up a tree. I'm not doing this. I'm like, what am I going to fucking put up a tree for him?
No. Yeah, exactly.
No, you don't get a tree.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I do not recall you being an asshole. So.
No, I was not.
No,
I know I really, really liked it.
I don't think that you would have been. But if you've never been to Boot Charts, like Christmas really is the best time to go. I also really like heavily advise you to get a membership because it's only $60, but every time you go, it's $33.
Right.
So you may as well get a membership, go at Christmas, and then go again in like the spring or the summertime.
I really want to. I have never done that.
It's so beautiful.
I did. I actually think I went when I was like 10 or 11 in the summer and I did not care at all.
Right. You'd appreciate it a lot more now. But the nice thing is if you get a membership at Christmas, then you can use it again next Christmas.
Right.
So then you actually, you know, if you used it as well in the spring or the summertime, then you kind of get 3 uses out of it and it pays for itself. Idea. Right. So like I've had a membership for like 10 years because I enjoy going, right? The nice thing about Boot Charts too is that it is always different. So what a lot of people don't know is that they grow the flowers in like a separate greenhouse. And then once a week, they go through and they change out like whole flower beds.
Wow.
And they'll switch out all the flowers into a totally different color or different species or whatever. So they're changing it up constantly. My dad and Lisa used to live down the road and they would go like as their nightly walks, they would go like multiple times a week and they'd take pictures and notice all the different changes. And it changes quite frequently.
Yeah.
And it's so different at different seasons, right? Because of course all flowers are going to change.
Oh my God. The spring would be so great.
Oh, the spring's beautiful because all the tulips, when the tulips are in bloom, it's spectacular. But then going later in the summer is also nice because that's when the rose garden is in bloom. And like the Japanese garden's my favorite because it's all like shade plants. So it's like bonsai trees and really neat rivers and like cool stepping stones and pagodas. Oh, I freaking love that place. God. Anyways.
Okay, I'm definitely going.
Yeah, so Christmas traditions, all about that. You know what we haven't done, which we have done the past couple of years, is drive around and look at Christmas lights.
Oh, yeah.
And we haven't done that yet.
We should.
Yeah, because I've done that probably the last like 5 years or so, and I haven't done it yet.
Well, I did that a little bit when I filmed my video.
Right,
but I only really did Central and Nanaimo.
Yeah, we got to go do more.
Yeah.
It'd be fun. I don't think you could do the whole map in one day, of course, but it would be fun to go and just do like a whole section of the map and just plan it all out and hit them.
Yeah, so there's one on the map, I believe, if you follow it to a T, I think it takes about 2 hours, which is not bad.
That is not bad when you think about it.
And it hits like all the major neighborhoods in Nanaimo. So.
Oh, cool. Okay, so that's a good idea. That would be really fun. Yeah, see, it's obviously it kind of sucks to be the person driving though, because then you don't really get to see them. So what we need to do is get Jeremy to drive, and then we can drink Bailey's and hot chocolate and watch the lights. Love it. Planned. Cool. That was a good question by whoever submitted that. I liked that.
There's a few people.
What were some other questions that were asked about Christmas?
I think that was like the main one. Let me see. Just give me a minute.
Just give me a moment, because that was one of the things I had on my list. I was intrigued as to, I know we got quite a few responses into that, so I wanted to see what it was. We put on our Instagram story asking about what we should talk about. Like, we need things to talk about, but...
Oh, favorite Christmas movie.
Ooh.
Well, mine is what I have on my shirt, which is the Griswolds. So National
movie.
Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I love that movie. I will watch it any time of year because I just think it's so funny.
It really
and
is.
Every single time I watch it, I notice more and more funny things that I didn't notice
Yes.
before. Like, there's a scene where like the grandpa is like asleep. He's like trying to sleep in the bed.
Yep.
The kid's bed, and there's like a poster of like two turtles humping.
Oh, really? That's so funny. I know. I like watching movies or shows and then paying attention more to what's going on in the background
Yeah.
because a lot of it is funny that you don't even really realize.
Yeah, so that's definitely my favorite movie. And you can play a drinking game. So
Yes.
I put the Santa hat on the corner of the TV, and so every time
Perfect.
someone's wearing the hat, you drink. And there's a scene where they're in the
It, like,
office,
switches?
and it's like two different camera angles, and it switches. Somebody's like constantly wearing the hat.
That's
so you're constantly
hilarious.
drinking.
I love that.
And then there's a drinking game that I found online that you can play like every time an advent calendar door opens, every time they reference
Yep.
the bonus or the swimming pool, anytime that Clark puts himself in danger, anytime he fucks with the neighbors.
Oh,
like there's
that's
so many
awesome.
things. Like
I
it's
love
so
it.
fun. I love that.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
What's your favorite Christmas movie?
You know, I've never really thought about like my favorite one specifically. Home Alone 2 is honestly probably
Yeah.
one that I remember the most, like as a kid, and I've probably seen it the most.
Do you know that I watched it for the first time last year?
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my God. How have you made it this far in life? I don't understand. That's a great movie.
It is.
You know, I also really like the Jim Carrey's The Grinch.
Oh, it's so good.
I've seen that movie so many times, and it just is funnier and
It is
funnier the
so
more that I watch it,
funny.
honestly. This year, I've really tried to make a point to watch new Christmas movies that I've never seen before. So I really want to watch some of the older ones, like Meet Me in St. Louis.
Oh, I've never seen it.
Neither have
I didn't know that was a Christmas movie.
Well, yeah, it's basically, I'm not going to get this right. I don't 100% know what it's about, but it is referenced in multiple movies as being a Christmas movie.
Right.
And then it's also was on this list of like the best Christmas movies.
Oh,
So,
okay.
okay. I watched Miracle on 34th Street
I've
the other
never
day.
seen that.
Neither had I. First of all, I didn't watch the original. I watched the remake that was done in the 90s.
I didn't know there was a remake.
Yeah, the original came out in like the 40s.
Yeah.
And then the remake was done in I think 94 or 95. And it's got like the girl from Matilda is the young girl in it. And so do you know what the story of that movie is
No,
about?
isn't that the one where it's like, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings?
I think that's maybe the original movie because they don't reference that in the new one.
They don't?
No. So I don't actually know what that's in reference to, but the remake is about a gentleman who serendipitously becomes a Santa Claus at the department store.
Okay.
And he actually is Santa Claus.
Oh.
But there's a neighboring department store that doesn't like how popular this department store is because of how much the children love this Santa Claus.
Okay.
So they try and sabotage the Santa Claus. And so then he ends up going to court for like assaulting a guy, and they say that he's crazy because he believes that he's Santa Claus. And so it's all about kind of like this court trial that he has to go through about like, is he crazy or is he actually Santa Claus? And it's just kind of like about believing in Santa and like the spirit of Christmas. It was actually a very good movie. I'm surprised that I had never seen it before, and it's probably one that I will watch more. I liked it.
You know what I was forced to watch recently? Because
What?
it's Kurt's favorite Christmas movie.
What?
Ernest Saves Christmas.
Oh, God.
And guess what? It
I
was
haven't seen
fucking
that.
stupid.
I haven't seen that in probably 20 years.
And like, can we just talk about the
That's
fact
his
that there's
favorite Christmas
there's this
movie?
teenage girl that's like a runaway, and she just like finds Ernest, and then she just like stays with him at his house. Like, what?
Because that makes sense.
Oh, why are you?
And
no.
this is a children's movie?
Yeah, no. Sorry, a teenage girl is not staying at your house.
At Ernest's house.
Gross.
I used to love the Ernest movies. Like, I loved them when I was like 8.
As an adult, you're watching it. I'm like, okay,
They're terrible.
So is he?
I know. I know.
I don't think he's not supposed to be like special.
No, I know. He's just like
dumb?
really dumb. I know. I've always thought the exact same
I'm like,
thing.
what? I don't understand this. It's just weird.
I haven't seen those movies in a very long time, but I used to love them. Like, I would watch like the whole series
Ernest goes
of
to
them.
camp.
Oh yeah, Ernest goes something about Halloween, maybe. I don't remember, but
Probably Ernest. I don't know.
I don't even know.
Who cares?
I know. Have you seen the Christmas movie called Klaus or Klaus, but I'm pretty sure it's called Klaus.
No.
So it's on Netflix, and it actually was either nominated or won some Academy Awards.
Oh.
It's an animated movie, and it's about, I think it takes place in kind of like the 1800s, 1900s, but you don't really know what time period it takes place in. But basically a guy who's like really selfish, his dad works for the post office, and he gets sent to this like remote island near the North Pole to be a postmaster.
Okay.
And he has to stamp like 6,000 letters in the year, or he's going to lose like all his family benefits kind of thing. And so, but he gets sent to such a remote place that there's like no possible way he's going to get that many letters sent. So the town is basically like two families that battle against each other. They've, over generations of generations, they've never gotten along. And there's this old woodsman that lives like way out in the woods, and he makes toys. So the postmaster guy figures out that he can try to get kids to write a letter to this woodsman guy, and the woodsman guy is like, "Oh, I'm going to come and deliver a toy to this child because this child's really sad."
Okay.
So then he's like, "Oh, cool. This is a great way for me to get more letters. I'll get all the kids to start writing him letters. He'll bring them toys. People will keep writing letters, and I'll get out of here." Well, then eventually it starts turning into this whole thing of like, because there's so many letters being sent, he needs to make more toys, and then he needs a sleigh to be able to carry the toys, and then he needs reindeer to be able to carry the sleigh. Exactly. And so it's kind of about how he like becomes Santa.
Okay.
It's a very, very good story. And the animation is very different than what you normally would see. So, like, it's worth a watch. If you've never seen that movie, it's completely worth a watch. I very much enjoyed it.
Okay, the last Christmas movie I'm going to mention
Yes.
is Housewives of the North Pole. I do that every time.
Okay, last night I saw that come up, and Jeremy's like, "There's a Housewives of the North Pole." I was like,
Cute.
"No, Jeremy, it's a Christmas movie."
Okay, so I watched it, and like, yeah, it was pretty stupid because like I'm not into those stupid Hallmark Christmas movies. Like, I'm just not.
No, me neither.
So it was definitely one of those, but it was funny and it was cute, and I really liked it, and you should definitely watch it.
I am going to watch it. I will watch it. I promise you that I will.
Kyle's a good actress.
I would like to watch it. I might watch it tonight. I'm really trying to watch a new Christmas movie every night. So that's my goal. So
Okay.
I will put that on my list.
Yes.
I'm sure I will watch it. Oh my God. That's so funny. Okay. One more Christmas themed thing, and then let's get on with some other stuff.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about some Christmas shopping because my mom and I, this is like a new tradition we've started, is going to Victoria every year and doing Christmas shopping there. And I'm really trying to shop only from local stores and not at malls. So I wanted to mention some stores in Victoria as well as some stores here to do some Christmas shopping. So Tuscan Kitchen in Victoria, it's right by the Bay Center. It's like one block up from Government. Really neat little Italian store. They have beautiful like pottery and plates and stuff that were like ridiculously expensive, but they also have a really good selection of olive oils, balsamic vinegars, lots of different kinds of vinegars, spices, pasta, like fresh pasta, tomato sauces, all these different, Italian kind of like staples. And they're a bunch of different brands, and a lot of them are imported. And so they're really worth trying. So what we've been doing the past couple of years for my grandparents is putting together a basket with a whole bunch of different stuff in there that they can like take on a road trip or take on a trip or make a dinner with. So I bought a whole bunch of stuff there. Another one I wanted to mention, it's called Fantan Home and Style. So it's near Fantan Alley.
Okay.
But they have quite a big store, and they had a lot of Christmas stuff in there, but they had a lot of like really neat, like unique, higher end gifts, like really nice candles or plates or Christmas decorations or travel stuff, wine glasses, kitchen things, lots of like really good stocking stuffers, a lot of different Christmas decorations I'd never seen before. So I definitely recommend going in there. For Nanaimo stuff, Flying Fish.
Oh, I love Flying Fish.
Love Flying Fish.
They have the most beautiful Christmas ornaments right now.
Oh, really? I haven't been in there yet.
Oh my God.
Okay, I might have to go in there
Yeah.
and check those out. So they're great just for kitchen stuff. Like they have a massive kitchen section, really, really nice, like gravy boats and dishes,
Yeah.
servingware. They also sell Pandora stuff,
Yeah.
which not a lot of people realize.
But they also have local jewelry as
yes,
well.
they do.
Yeah.
And they also have like local clothing.
Yeah, they
which
do.
is really neat.
They had some really cute sweaters.
Yeah, I bought some of their like scarves in there before, and they're always just very comfortable, really nice quality stuff. And they also have really good cards, like not just Christmas
I
cards,
love
but they're
their
good
cards.
like birthday cards and just any. They
That's
have
where
huge
I buy all
selection.
my cards.
So does my mom. Always
Yeah,
gets
'cause
her
they're
cards
so
from
funny.
there. Well, they have a lot of different kinds, so they have really funny ones, but then they also have very creative ones or artistic ones or just like sentimental.
They also have these cards that are like they're birthday cards, but they are like for each like year, and it'll
Oh.
say like all these different things that happened in that year that you were born.
Yes, that's right. I've seen
so
those.
I bought that one for my dad and for my mom because like they have like tons like dating back like really far back.
Yep.
So I like it's a really cool little
I've
gift.
seen those before.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they also have furniture. I mean,
Yes.
a lot of their furniture is spectacular.
And really expensive.
Really expensive.
But really nice.
Yeah. I should go in there and look at ornaments. I really am trying to collect food style ornaments.
Okay.
Because I want to do like a whole tree eventually that has all food ones.
Oh, okay.
Like I've got butter and I got like a pot brownie and for my dad. And then I bought a gumball machine this year.
Oh.
So I want to kind of buy more of
They
those.
have this one that I loved. I wanted to buy it, but I just didn't. And it's like just this gorgeous, beautiful champagne bottle. And I just love
I
it.
like stuff like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I should go in and take a look at their ornaments. Another good one in Nanaimo is called Cultured Coast. I'm not sure if you've been there. They're in
No.
Nanaimo North Town Center.
Oh.
They're a lot more like Vancouver Island themed, BC themed, West Coast themed stuff. They've got like a lot of local artists that they have t-shirts and stickers and like those really neat resin covered cutting boards or resin covered like coasters is what I'm trying to think of.
I've seen those.
Yeah, they're really neat. So they're a neat store just for some more kind of like local stuff that's local artists made, BC made. So I definitely recommend going and checking those out
Cool.
for all your Christmas shopping needs. I mean, we're only, what's the date today? The 13th. So
Yeah.
11 days away.
Well,
12 days away.
Not when this comes out.
Well, even shorter. So you really better get
Even
on
less.
it.
Wait, maybe this is coming out Christmas Day.
No.
Christmas Eve?
Oh, shoot.
We're like
this
a week.
is coming
we're
out
like
Christmas Eve.
pre-recording a week behind.
Oh, okay. Well, you know what?
Christmas Eve. It's Christmas Eve today.
If you haven't bought your gifts by now, then our recommendations are just likely not going to help. That's right. I forgot that we're recording a week ahead. Well, all right. Okay. I've got a couple of things I wanted to mention before we kind of get into our show talk.
Okay.
So I've mentioned a couple of times about Pete Davidson and how I don't understand what the appeal is.
Right.
So I don't think that I sent this article to you, but it was,
No.
I saw on BuzzFeed, it was a whole article about why is Pete Davidson
I
getting
saw that
all these
article. I didn't
celebrities,
click
right?
on
Like,
it, but
so
yeah.
I clicked on it and it was a whole bunch of like user responses. And this is basically just kind of like a summarization of what
We
they
got
said.
it. He's got a big dick.
No, they didn't even talk about that
What?
once. No, they were talking about how he's very like confident but not cocky.
Yes.
He's confident in his vulnerability. He's not
Yeah.
afraid to make fun of himself. You know, he's very self-aware, but he doesn't
He
have
pokes
to
fun
prove
at his
himself
appearance all the time.
all the time. You know, he's very like laid back energy, but not laid back in his appearance. Like he obviously cares like what he looks like, but not really, you know, like,
okay.
and I think he wouldn't judge you either because he like doesn't
No.
care about being judged himself.
So what he wears is so interesting to me because I saw that he was on Jimmy Fallon a few weeks ago.
Yep.
And his outfit was just like the most outrageous thing I've ever seen. Like it
Yeah.
looked like he just picked 3 different items out of like a little girl's closet and he just wore that. Like he was wearing like
Yeah.
I think it was like a pink or purple like crocheted sweater.
Yeah.
Like, I was like,
when
where
he
did you
goes
get
to
that?
the like award shows, he's like that. Like he just wears the most random stuff. Like the Met Gala, he wore a very random thing, right? And so I think that's kind of where the attractiveness comes from, is because he's just so like He's not afraid to laugh at himself. Who cares? This is just who
Yeah.
I am. Whatever. You know, like people were saying he'd be one of those guys where you'd come home and if you just wanted to chill, he'd be like, let's chill. Like they were like, he's kind of like that weed dealer that's like kind of attractive that you just feel really cool around and you're just like, sure. And then all of a sudden you're like, I would sleep with you, you know, which I thought was really interesting. And so it kind of just like, I laughed at myself because I saw the BuzzFeed article. I'm like, that's exactly what I've been wondering about. And so it was all these, you know, interesting points of view, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you look at a lot of other, you know, just people, celebrities or whatever, and they, you know, try to be this persona or try to put on this appearance or try to be more than they are, right? Where he's just very like, this is who I am, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, which has its own kind of like, you know, attractiveness to
totally.
that kind of quality, right? So I thought that was interesting. I also wanted to mention a couple new, I saw a TikTok about this. So it's a couple new technological advances that I thought were really interesting.
Okay.
So one is a new phone that's been is going to be released by Elon Musk.
Okay.
So it's going to be called the Tesla Pi, I believe. I may not have written that down right.
Okay.
Anyways, it's because he owns Starlink. He's going to have, this phone's going to have service everywhere. It's going to be a satellite phone, but it's going to be accessible to everybody.
Oh.
And they also say that because of Starlink, eventually when humans go to Mars, they will be able to use this phone because of the satellite capabilities, which is interesting.
Okay.
Also, it'll be able to mine cryptocurrency, which is apparently going to be a really big deal as time goes on. And it will also have solar charging abilities.
Okay.
So there's a lot of kind of talk in the tech industry about this maybe being like that new thing that breaks the market. That's kind of the first of its kind, that we could see cell phones and other technology starting to utilize this kind of technology as time goes on. So he could be kind of like the first of his
Good. Maybe the
kind
cell
to do
phone
that.
carriers will lower their prices. 'cause
Exactly.
It's fucking crazy.
Yes, exactly. And that's, I think, kind of meant to be the whole point behind it, is that it's going to be cheaper because you have that service everywhere. So then everyone should be able to have access to it. Right. Another thing is there are two kind of inventors in Africa, and I'm really sorry, but I just cannot remember the country that they were talking about, but they've created a bio-robotic arm that can be operated using your brain signals. So the
Okay.
thought is that somebody who's like disabled or doesn't have use
Like
of their
paralyzed,
arms
yeah.
or paralyzed would be able to utilize this as kind of like a third robotic like arm.
Okay, yes.
And could use their brain signals to operate it.
Right.
Which is not like a super new technology
No.
per se, but it looks like, I saw a video of it, that it's a very like full functioning, capable
Wow.
item. So it'll be interesting to see, you know, if that becomes more utilized and then how that affects other technologies because of that process. The third thing, and the most interesting thing in my opinion, and this is going to sound really funny, but there's a German inventor, and I don't know if it's going to be the name, but it's a testicle bath.
Okay.
So it's a male birth control device, and essentially it uses ultrasound waves to penetrate and stops the mobility of sperm.
Oh.
So you can use this every 3 to 4 months, and it stops the mobility of sperm enough that it would stop pregnancy, so that you wouldn't you know, I think you would still ejaculate, I'm assuming, but then you wouldn't have sperm.
Oh.
I don't know how that works. Anyways, it
works.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's meant to be a male birth control device that could potentially completely revolutionize like
would be great.
the birth. Well, exactly, because it is really silly that females have to take birth control.
It
when
is.
in reality we're not the ones that produce the thing that goes to the thing.
Yeah.
You know. So very, very interesting. So I just thought that those three things were kind of like neat to be aware of, and it'll be interesting how that all kind of fruitions.
Wow.
I know.
I like it.
Thank you. Should we talk about the new season of Sex and the City?
Briefly, because I think
Briefly.
it's honestly been talked about to
A lot.
death. So, I mean, that was a bad pun. No pun intended on that one.
Spoiler alert. If you have
But-
not watched the new season of And Just Like That, is that what it's called?
Yes.
I keep forgetting. I keep wanting to say and then something to do with then. I don't know why. And then it was.
And then there was 3.
And then it was. That's what I keep thinking it's called. So if you haven't watched it, please stop listening because there are major spoilers that we're likely going to talk about.
But I mean, if you haven't heard by now, I don't know. You're living under a rock.
True. So I was reading another article about this today, and it was just kind of talking about their opinions on the first 2 episodes. Which, okay, there's been a lot of bad feedback about this show. I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't like the death scene.
The death scene
Nobody
was
did.
absolutely horrific.
Yes.
Did you cried?
Yeah, I did. And
I
I knew it was
bawled my
coming.
eyes
I
out.
fully 100% knew it was coming. And I still
See,
did.
I knew that somebody died, but I didn't know who. So I bawled my eyes out. It was just a cringy, horrible scene to watch.
Yeah.
Like, I can only imagine filming it.
It's it was just so ridiculous because it's like she's just standing there and then she doesn't call 911.
I know.
What are you
Like,
doing?
I'm sorry. If that happened to I would be like immediately over there. What's wrong? What's going on? CPR, phoning 911. Like,
Yeah.
you're just standing there watching for like 10 seconds.
It was a lot. And like, did Deanna send you that meme that she sent me where it was like, Big's death is like the modern equivalent of Jack dying in Titanic.
100%.
Like, preventable.
You could have fit on that door.
You could have fit on that door.
It 100% was preventable.
And you could have saved Big.
Yeah, I wasn't very happy about how that scene played out.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are saying, why did that have to happen? Why did he have to die? I think it was a new thread that needed to be introduced so that it could keep the show going on a new tangent.
Yeah.
It was a motive for change. And I mean, sure, we're all nostalgic for the original show, but would it have been that exciting to rewatch a new season of a show that just carried on in the same way? I mean, we needed to see something, and it also puts Carrie back out into the dating world now, and she's dealing with grief.
Yeah.
So not only is she a lot older with a lot of new, dating styles, technology, all this different stuff. She's also now dealing with grief, which is not really talked about a lot in TV or in movies. So I think that's really interesting. Sometimes I don't like, though, when shows kind of become a little bit of a parody of themselves and then there's almost more satire to it, that it just becomes too much.
Yeah. Have you heard the criticism of Miranda's character?
Yeah.
How she's like a Karen now, and she's totally not the Miranda that we know.
Exactly.
Because Charlotte was always that one who was uptight and like the Karen.
Yes.
And Miranda, it's not like she's like on being a Karen on purpose. Like, she's learning and she's figuring things out, but like, she was the one who was glued to her BlackBerry, and she was obsessed with TiVo.
Exactly.
And so, like, why is she like so unwilling
so against podcasts
and getting a Kindle? Like, she wants to read a physical book and lug those all around New York City. I don't think so.
Exactly.
I just don't see that for her. So it's just a little weird.
Yeah, that was the kind of what this article was saying too. They said she's always been a tech savvy, confident, feminist character, and now she seems really out of touch, and she's really clumsy with what she's saying. Like that whole scene where she goes into the classroom and then the professor walks in and she's talking about her braids. That was so cringy.
It was,
100%. And like, I just don't believe that Miranda would have been like that.
No,
she always seemed very like on top of what was going on.
Well, and she lives in New York City. It's not like she lives in like Alabama. Sorry.
It's not like she moved from a different city and just moved to New York and is seeing this stuff for the first time. And that was another thing that they talked about, was how representation and diversity, it's like they're almost making up for not having that originally. So then what this article was saying is how unfortunate it is that every new character that they've added into the show now is an over the top diversity representation, and so like they're interesting characters that are coming in, and I guess it's kind of setting it up for just this new change, but I wish that they had done it in a more subtle way.
Yeah. And you know what I had totally forgot. What's Stanford's husband's name in the show? What is his name? Charlotte's best
I know
gay
who you're
friend.
talking, Anthony.
Anthony, yes, thank you.
Sorry, I had a mind for it.
I forgot that they were together, and I always remembered, I thought it was so ridiculous.
They got married.
I know, but don't you think it's a little ridiculous that they got married? Because it's like, oh, you have a gay friend, I have a gay friend.
They
Let's
hated
meet.
each other.
and then they get
hated
married.
each
Like,
other.
okay, so the only two gay characters just all like.
I agree with you because they hated each other throughout the entire series.
Like, what?
And then all of a sudden they fall in love and get married and now they hate each other.
Well, but they love each other. But like,
I know, but you know what I mean?
like, come on, like,
I agree.
That's just not how it works. It's not like every gay guy
No.
is just gonna fall in love with every
It
gay
would have
guy.
been nice if there had been other characters introduced for the both
Yeah.
of them. You know, that actually made sense for their relationship. Yeah, I wasn't too happy about that point of it. And then they were talking, Charlotte, first of all, she said way too much like Botox, facelift, whatever.
Yeah.
She doesn't look normal.
I mean, I watch a lot of Housewives. She doesn't look that bad.
No, of
you
course
can
not.
tell she's had some work.
You can
done
tell she's had
for
some work
sure.
done. Which is just unfortunate because I feel like she would have aged really gracefully.
Yeah,
you know.
probably.
So I was kind of like a little disappointed that I was like, oh, and she's kind of a bit too over the top too. Like she's almost like a caricature of her original character
Yeah.
as well. You know, like being so forceful on the girls about what they were
Yeah.
wearing, like.
Wear that dress. Wear
Yeah,
that dress.
like let it go, you know? And so I guess that kind of represents her uptight character from previous seasons.
I mean,
but
I buy it for sure.
it was a bit much. And then, of course, the whole talk about Samantha not being involved in the season. Now, I found it interesting how they kind of addressed that.
Yeah.
You know, that conversation that Carrie and Miranda had when they were walking and Carrie was talking about, you know, how Samantha just won't return my calls. And I guess, you know, I was just like a walking ATM to her and she obviously just doesn't care about our friendship. And it obviously was pointing out what is actually happening in real life.
Kind of, yeah.
And I thought that that was really interesting that they played at that because like the article that I was reading was like, really, Samantha would just ghost all of her friends
Yeah.
and just move to another country? And why would she stop doing publicity for Carrie? Like she always did that, even if Samantha didn't agree with the life choices that Carrie had made. And then when Big dies, really? Like she didn't get on a plane and fly back to New York? I mean, you had been so involved in their lives for the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So this article is talking about how it would have made more sense if they just killed Samantha off because
Well, that's what I thought they were doing.
It made sense what they were explaining, but
Yes.
it also didn't make sense for Samantha's character either.
Well, okay, so this is what I thought because I spoiled it for myself because
And you spoiled it for me.
Well, I didn't mean to.
I didn't know who died though, but you told me that somebody
but I
died.
saw this article and it said Sex in the City killed off one of the main characters, and that was the headline, and I was like, oh, well, obviously it's Samantha because she's not in the show. I knew she
Right.
was in the show, so I'm like, it's obviously Samantha. So I clicked on it, and of course I'm like, oh my god, it's big, holy shit.
So depressing.
I didn't know, but I was like, okay, well, she had breast cancer previously,
Right.
so I
It
thought
makes sense.
I thought they would say something like, oh, the breast cancer came back and she died.
Yeah.
That would make perfect sense to me.
So I guess they were kind of trying to do it as a way to like poke at Kim Cattrall. Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm
but maybe they're leaving the door open in case she wants to
maybe
come
they
back.
are. That's a very, very good point, is maybe they are. I'm just, you know, it doesn't really suit the character's story the way that it's being portrayed,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But when Carrie opened up that card and the flowers were from Samantha, I like cried. I thought that was just so
me too.
nice. Yeah, the whole big death thing, I mean, I don't know why, but it just like really struck me. I just had such a hard time with it. And it like made me like, Jeremy's like, you're sobbing. Like, he's like, why are you so upset? I'm like, I just feel like I like know these people. I don't know why.
That's
but
exactly what I said to Kurt. He said the same thing. He's like, I don't understand. Like, what's the big deal? I'm like, because we've been watching it for so long.
And I related to that show, and we've talked about this before about how you relate to that show so much, and as you get older and you watch it again, you relate to different things.
Yes.
And so you almost just feel like you know these people so well. And then she goes through this whole life of wanting this and never happening, and then finally they get married.
Yeah.
And then you only get like 10 good years with each other
Yeah.
and then he dies.
I know. Like, it's like, why can't they just be fucking happy?
I know. And the fact that she wasn't there,
Yeah.
and then she comes home and she finds him like that, like, oh, it just like really wrecked my heart. Like,
I'm glad
I
she
just
yelled at Charlotte, by the way.
Oh yeah, I know. Me too. I liked the first 2 episodes. When did
Me
the
too.
new episodes come out? Do you know what day?
No.
Me neither.
I think they came out on what, Thursday?
I don't remember.
Thursday or Friday. So,
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to watch. Anyways, yeah, I thought it was a good 2 episodes. I'm excited to see where they go with it. I'm excited to see what other characters they bring in from previous, like bringing like Mitzi or Bitsy in or whatever. I thought that was kind of funny how they like ran into her right away. Made me sad to see Stanford, of course, because he's passed away in real life. So that also got me
I know.
sad because
I
they were
wonder-
like they're at Big's funeral and Stanford's sitting right next to Carrie, and all I could think of is, oh my God.
yeah.
Within the last month, they would have had to go to a funeral for him.
That is really sad.
So I'm sure watching this now for them is probably really difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man.
We need to talk about Salt Lake City.
Go.
Okay. What do you think about Lisa Barlow? I think she's self-producing way too much.
Yes.
It is a lot.
She's really trying to manipulate what's going on, but she's doing a very bad job at it.
Poor job at it. And
I thought it was funny how Jenny was like, really, like Lisa has the time of day to be sitting at home and creating this big scheme.
That's exactly what she's
I
doing.
said out loud, I was like, she absolutely has the time of day to do that. That's what's happening.
When she was filming that scene with Meredith,
Yep.
and she was like, "No, it's not me. It's not me. Whitney and Heather, bad weather. They're lying. They're lies. It's their lies. I'm not taking responsibility."
Well, I'm gonna get in trouble for doing something that Whitney and Heather did. Like, that's ridiculous. And Meredith is like, okay, but we're all accountable.
Yeah. Nope, not me.
We
Not me.
all need to be responsible.
It was absolutely so ridiculous.
She's absolutely trying to create this narrative, and all I can think of when this stuff happens is I can't wait for the reunion, because Andy's going to start calling out all this stuff, and he's going to have receipts of all of these things happening, and Lisa's not going to know what to say.
No.
It's like we're stupid.
She is so messy. And I mean messy, not in the way that they say messy on like Potomac. Like, she is messy in like she's sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, she really doesn't cover her tracks very well,
Nope.
and I don't think she recognizes the things that she say.
She brought Cameron in, okay?
And then she says other things about what's going on, and then doesn't want to have anything to do with it, and then runs to Mary to be friends with her. Oh, those girls are all talking about you downstairs. You're part of it.
You brought it up.
Exactly.
You brought it up.
Yeah, and it's not fair for Whitney or for Heather to take on something like that.
Whiskney. Stirring the pot.
Whiskney.
She's like a whisk.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. It's interesting to see Jen come back, and Jen's talking a lot about how, you know, she doesn't understand what's going on. She doesn't understand about why the police are there. I mean,
okay, I will say I was horrified by the video of her sons with the cops pulling out guns on them. Like, what in the fuck?
Totally.
And she is right. Like, if they, you know, made one wrong move, like they
you
could
never
have been
know what
shot.
could happen. Absolutely.
And I think that is absolutely horrific and so unnecessary, because they didn't do anything wrong.
Well, especially because, yes, these are like criminal charges that Jen's facing, but it's not like she killed somebody. I mean, there's
No, she's not a violent criminal.
Exactly. They really don't have any need to feel that she's going to harm anybody.
No, it's absolutely ridiculous, and it made me really sad.
Absolutely, and I agree. That would be very, very scary. And you're right, and Jen's right, that, you know, you do never know what can happen when police are involved, and there's lots of stories that happen all the time of people who are shot for no reason. You know, I mean, but at the same token, I think that those police are unfortunately ingrained that there's been a lot of probably situations that just a person money laundering, and then they show up and they're put in harm's way, you know?
Sure.
So, I mean, unfortunately, this is just the standard that has to happen. But I don't know. I keep kind of going back to how I felt about Erica, because I really didn't feel that Erica was telling the truth. And then as stuff has kind of come out, you know, I don't really think that Erica knew what was going on. And part of me is wondering the same thing about Jen, because you know, Heather was asking her, well, what about Stu? Like, aren't you guys business partners? And Jen's like, no, we're not business partners. Like, I don't know what he's doing. Like,
I'm not
I don't
buying
know.
it.
I know, but
I'm
then,
just not.
But then how come Stu comes out and like says that he's guilty of all of those things and she has no idea what's going on? Like,
She's
it's
just saying that. Like, she is wanting him to take the fall.
then she's a very good actress. I
Yeah.
will say that, because she's really laying it on thick that she has no idea why this happened.
The scene with her and Sharif,
I know.
I felt like it was scripted.
That's
like
how
the
I
way
felt
that
too.
him and his speech, like I was like, whoa, what am I watching right now?
Yeah, the
It
way that he
felt-
was responding was weird.
It felt like a soap opera. It
I
really
felt
did.
that way too. I really thought, I was like, this whole scene
It
is really
felt-
just for the cameras. I'm
It
like,
felt like he was reciting lines that he had rehearsed. She bribed him with Popeyes because that's his favorite.
Yep.
And
I would definitely agree with you. When I was watching that, all I could think to myself was, some of this just doesn't make any sense. And this seems like she's just putting on this face for the camera, and she's crying to the cameras, but she doesn't understand why this is happening, and she
Yeah.
doesn't know why and doesn't get it.
and I will say,
I'm innocent. I'm so innocent.
Her
Why
face.
is nobody believing me? And I've done so much for your family, and no one's here to support me. Very,
oh my God,
just
her face looked so crazy. Because
I don't know how I feel
she's
about
had
it.
so much work done. Like when she makes like a crying face,
She doesn't
it
have a
looks
very good
so
crying
wrong.
face, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know. And then there's the whole Mary thing, and I thought it was interesting how
Oh,
Mary
boy.
kept bringing up points about how, like, oh, like, I've just had this stuff for a long time. Like, I don't know why everybody thinks that I'm taking money from the church. Like, that's ridiculous.
Okay. I have turned a corner with Mary. Somebody on the Bitch Bible official group actually brought this to my attention, that Mary has like trauma eyes. So this person who wrote about this is like a counselor or a psychologist or something, and she says that she can tell by the way that Mary expresses herself through her eyes that she is a victim of trauma. And I believe that
I could-
because
yeah.
you know, she was raised in the church, and churches can be, not all of them, can be very, very traumatic
Yeah.
for people. And I look at her in a totally different way now. I still think she's running a cult, but I think that she has been through some very, very traumatic things in her
And doesn't
life.
recognize that
And-
that's what she's doing.
And well, and you can see the way that she is a hoarder, and she holds on to things.
It's true.
She has
She was
no-
talking about how she does, because she
100%.
hasn't talked to her mom in 20
Exactly.
years. She's made friends with the things in her closet.
She is a glamorous hoarder, and I will say the same thing. I've known this for a long time about Paris Hilton as well. So, because I've been following her on Instagram for years and years, and she shows her house, and it is just piled up with things
Stuff.
and crap, and
That's
it's all
true.
very
She
glamorous.
talks about how she just likes things.
She was on, I was watching Paris in Love, her new show,
Mm-hmm.
and so she was saying like her house is just filled to the brim with just crap. And she said that she has a storage locker that is literally the size of Costco, and it's just
Really?
a warehouse where she just keeps all of her things. And Kathy Hilton, her mom, was saying like Paris will keep like the little toys off of like a birthday cake,
Right.
and she doesn't throw anything away. And it's because like Paris was like, well, it's because she was taken away to the school,
Right.
and she had all of her things taken away.
Right.
And
so she
now
wants to keep everything
wants to
that she
keep
can
everything.
as a method of control.
Exactly.
She talked about that in her documentary as well.
And it is extreme, and Mary is doing the exact same thing.
That's really
and it's
interesting.
because she's a victim of trauma. And I'm not saying that she's not traumatizing other people
Right.
now, which it is a thing where you repeat the cycle. And
When that's all you know.
Exactly. And I do believe that she is a cult leader, but I do feel like she's also the victim of trauma, and I feel bad for her.
That's very, very interesting. And I never thought about it that way, but I would agree with you that that does make sense. Because, yeah, you're holding on to things that you can control. And so it sounds like she lives a pretty lonely life.
Oh, 100%. Especially, during COVID, her husband, she doesn't even like her husband. Her husband wasn't around.
Right.
So all she has is her son, and he's like trying desperately to get away and live his own
Right.
life. And so she really has no one.
And that makes sense when she responds and reacts to, well, you're not even on my side and you're not being loyal to me. And it's probably because she feels like when people are not being her friend or are being taken away from her, then she starts to feel that loneliness. I wonder what her trauma is, which is kind of interesting. I thought it
Sounds
was
like she just has like a fucked up family.
Yeah.
As we all do in our own ways, but some are more traumatic than others.
I find it interesting about what Whitney was talking about, how she spoke with Cameron for so long, and then she wouldn't talk about it, how she's going to approach Lisa about it. So I'm very interested to see what that is.
Very interested to see that, and I just think it's so sad that Cameron has passed away.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I think he was.
What happened?
Yeah, well, he was sick with something, but I don't know what. And it's very, very interesting.
Well, it's sad to think that he mortgaged his house to help Mary when maybe that could have helped him, you know?
Yeah.
But sometimes it bothers me though when like how Whitney brings up that this happened and then Heather says, well, are you going to tell us what he said? And she's like, well, I'm going to tell Lisa and talk about it with Lisa. Well, then why even bring it up?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because now you kind of are stirring the pot because you're implying that there is interesting information that needs to be talked about, but then you're not going to tell the girls what it is.
Yeah.
So now it's almost like you're kind of pitting people against each other, and that's not really fair either.
No.
Very intrigued for this next episode. It looks crazy.
It looks absolutely insane.
So the scenes for next week, though, are happening at Jenny's pho party, right?
I'm not sure because it looked like a tea party.
It did look like a tea party, but at the same time, like it kind of seemed like it was Jenny's party.
It might have been. I'm not sure.
I was a little unsure because they kind of made reference to Jen being there. And, you know, there was already kind of a big thing because Meredith was like, I thought that you all understood that I didn't want to be somewhere where Jen was going to be invited. And they had made a point to talk about that on this episode. What are you going to be inviting Jen to the pho party?
Yeah.
So that to me kind of made it seem like that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
But remember how there were scenes, I think it was last episode, there were scenes for the rest of the season where Jen was on a bus with them.
They released the mid-season trailer.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I've been waiting for that about where are they going where they're on a bus when Jen's talking about that.
Yeah, very interesting.
Very.
How cute is Jenny's daughter? What's her name? Carlton?
I believe so. She's like a 45-year-old woman. She's hilarious.
So funny.
She's so funny, just the way she expresses herself and, you know, her mannerisms and the way that she says things. Oh, she's hilarious.
She's so smart and she's so grown up, and I think she's adorable.
I love kids like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were probably like that.
I believe that you're correct. I've been told that. My cousin Wade is like that.
Okay.
He is, I want to say 12 or 13, going on 40. And he's just so like outgoing. So one of the first times that I'd really met him, I was getting my nails done by my cousin Ella, and Wade is her younger brother. And so Wade comes in the room and he's like, oh, can I get you anything? Would you like any water or tea? And I said, no, I'm okay, but thank you. And he's like, well, are you guys coming over for Appies later? And I said, we can. And his dad, Trevor, was standing right there. And Wade's like, we need to go and we need to get some Appies and we need to make sure that there's some stuff for them there when they come over. And I was like, who are you?
Good host.
Yeah, very good host for sure. Like he's got like his own Instagram where he posts like food and stuff. Like he's hilarious. I love kids like that.
Yeah, me too.
Well-rounded children that are like 40-year-olds when they're born. It's the best.
Well, I think we need to wrap this up because
I have to go to yoga.
Yeah, you have to go to yoga.
What time is it right now?
6:06.
Oh gosh, I have to go to yoga.
Yes.
So yes, I have to go.
Okay,
I wonder
well-
if Jeremy's home. Who's going to drive me to yoga? Oh my gosh,
I can drive
this is
you.
horrible.
He can drop you off.
Okay, well, yes, I have
can
to
talk
go.
about this off the air.
I have a Moto and Yin class that I'm going to. So
Very exciting.
Must fly free.
Okay, well, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Thank you for joining us. This has been wonderful. One thing I do want to mention is that our next episode is going to feature a very special guest that I'm really looking forward to.
The one that we already recorded?
No, it's my grandmother. My grandmother's going to join us.
I'm very excited for that. Okay.
When I asked her, she was like, well, I'm like 80 years old. What am I going to talk about? I'm like, you have way more stuff to talk about than we do.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
We love you all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.
Goodbye.